All right, so my gadget is operational. And I think you guys are going to get sick of me. But anyways. That's a bad habit I have. I want to give you some bochinche status. I'm going to give you the story behind the veto. Let me tell you about the veto. So this past Tuesday evening, the mayor posted on his page that he vetoed 2 resolutions and 1 ordinance amendment. Okay? Now, let's talk about how that was done. We had a meeting December 15th, 2025, 7 p.m., regular meeting. And these items passed with some amendments, and I'll go through each item. And you would think, and I think that there were some very smart people in the audience that noticed that these, or maybe 1 or 2, or maybe all 3, in my opinion, I thought 1, would receive the veto. Now, and that was based on his commentary. Personally, he did a veto on a resolution that the Unaccepted Waste Committee brought forth the month of November. And that veto was, in essence, connected to the veto of the ordinance. So I don't want to confuse you. I'm just going to go down the line, and then we'll go right into each one. And I'll explain what a veto is, too, because it seems like people are confused with what a veto is. So, 5:58 p.m. on Tuesday, December 23rd, okay, he decides, now's the time, I'm going to do this veto. Now, don't you think he already knew the day that it passed, or maybe the next morning, that he was going to veto it? Pop quiz, trivia, whatever you want to call it. Yes or no? I would say yes, because he already knew he didn't agree with it, right? Because he's not agreeing to the legislature that was passed. So when the legislative body passes it, the mayor has 3 things to do when law comes to his desk. A, he signs it and agrees. B, he says, I'm not going to sign it, but it passes. And within 10 days, it becomes law anyways. Or C, I'm going to veto it, but I have to give reasoning for the veto. Backstory on the first veto he gave me. It was a resolution the Unaccepted Waste put on the table, regarded to streets in Methuen as well. He vetoed it with no explanation. I argued that that was not valid. So I can tell you that I appreciate that at least this veto has explanations under each item, which you probably read. And if you didn't, we're going to go over it. But what I'm trying to say to you is, if it doesn't have an explanation, in my opinion, it's not valid. Well, the solicitor doesn't seem to agree with me, and he says the mayor has vetoing power and he doesn't have to give you an explanation. That's fine. I respect that. You know, it's not about winning or losing. It's about our charter says that it must have an opinion, or not an opinion. It must have a reason, because how do you go back to deliver without knowing what has changed, right? That's just logic. Okay, moving on. So 5:58 p.m. on Tuesday, he decides it's the time that he's going to veto. Well, guess what? We do have a very diligent legal department. And our legal department was still in the building actually that day till about 9-something p.m. And so what happens when it comes through, understanding, because I was already watching for it, I get an alert on my phone. The first thing I do is I call the chairman and I say, Mr. Chairman, my ordinance is on the veto, which is ordinance such and such for unaccepted ways. It is a law that was already on the books for the city of Methuen, and I don't understand the reason for the veto. I'd like for it not to be vetoed, right? I call the chairman. What happened is there were 2 other sponsors to 2 other items, and I'm assuming that they also called him, because unless 3 counselors call the chairman, or the chairman himself, because the chairman himself can call the meeting. So I could be wrong. Maybe the other 2 did call him. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I know I did. Okay. If the chairman calls a meeting, it happens. Okay. The chairman calls a meeting. Immediately the same day, you see a posting of a virtual/hybrid meeting to happen on December 30th at 7 p.m. Okay? I called the mayor the next day in the morning. Now it is December 24th. Now the mayor opted for you guarding our tax dollars, just like we are, that city employees at City Hall do not have to work December 24th or December 26th. You may say, well, that's, I agree to that because, not much is happening. Everybody's in the Christmas mood, and that's fine. He has that authority. He can do that. Okay? But I'm telling you, some taxpayers are saying, no, I had an inspection that should have been done on my home or on my business on December 24th, and they should have been working. Okay? But that's not hearsay. He has that authority. So, but just because he calls the 24th an off day for employees, because the city doesn't stop. You still got your chief working, you got your police department, you have Department of Public Works, DPW, right? And you have firefighters working. Friday, the city hall's closed. Those are not national holidays. Those are working days still, 24 and 26. So the legislative body, the city council has authority to call a meeting at any time if there is, let's say, an emergency. This wasn't an emergency. But let's say the 24th, we can call the meeting. The 26th, which is today, we could call a meeting. Okay? So that meeting was called by the chairman. Great. Fine. So what next? Let me explain to you what a veto is. The mayor can approve or veto an entire order or ordinance or resolution passed by the city council. A veto is all or nothing. So what does that mean? It basically says, I am not agreeing to what you pass as legislation. So I am going to put it back and not adopt it. But the legislative body, the appropriating body for the city of Methuen, can say, we want this to happen, regardless of opinion. Let's keep opinion aside, okay? The city council, get this clear so you understand, I understand clear, can override the power of the mayor's veto. What does that mean? By a supermajority. Meaning, the charter says specifically, if the body does not agree with the fact that you vetoed an ordinance, an order, or a resolution, the appropriating body has the power to say no, obviously by a supermajority. So that's where we are today, okay? So with that being said, the city council will meet December 30th at 7 p.m. regarding the 3 items that were vetoed. The next video I'm going to send you will go into each veto item, and that's where some of you, I've gotten 6 emails, have opted on an opinion, and they're all the same. So I'm assuming it's coming from a closed group or from a group of people, from one specific person saying, copy this, paste this, make it your own, blah, blah. That's fine. Acceptable. Because they're pretty much the same. And a lot of you that have emailed have spoken with me, because one of the things I do is that I reply that I received it, and then I ask for your contact info so we can have a conversation. Because I don't think I can be a productive legislator if I can't have conversations with you. So the next opportunity we're going to have is to go under each line item, give you my opinion on them, but also give you some context behind them. Okay? Stay tuned.